want to thank you for joining us today, and this really quick video is to talk about what's going on with burn pots out there. There's been some confusion as to individuals that ends up with one style of a burn pot or with our burn pots. So let's discuss the difference between the burn pots. This right here is the burn pot, which we manufacture, and this burn pot has been around since the beginning of Austroflamm when it was brought to Oregon. But this is the original mold that we ended up getting from the distributor when we purchased Austroflamm from them way back in the day. And this is still the mold that we use today, which is exactly what Austroflamm designed this stove to run with. Now, what is the difference between our burn pots and this remake? In order to redesign this burn pot by adding more oxygen ports to the burn pot, across the back and across the front. As you can see with ours, no oxygen ports. See that? Zero. Okay, here's the problem with this remake burn pot. It allows too much oxygen into the burn pot itself when it is combusting the pellets. And what happens is when a fire receives too much oxygen, it will not burn as hot in this scenario, and the pellets will have a tendency to burn dirtier, okay? Which means that your stove is going to have dirtier glass, and your pellets are not going to produce the same BTU as it would with our burn pots, okay? The number one problem that people are having is that when they end up getting a real poor quality pellet, you will find that the pellets will not burn very well at all. Our burn pots, because it only allows the oxygen to enter through the bottom, which as your pellets are burning in here, through that coal bed, it feeds it and it burns it at a lot hotter temperature than if it's being fed through all of these holes across the top along with the bottom. Okay, so what happens is people will have a harder time. Let's just say that you're in a state to where you're in a small town and there's only one brand of pellets that you can get, and it happens to be a poor quality, like a pulp pellet. Okay, you're going to find that your stove is not going to operate as efficiently and burn as clean as it can as long as you're using this remake burn pot. Our burn pots, again, are designed from the mold that Austroflamm created and tested with the stove. So if by chance you're having a hard time with pellets, a poor grade of pellet out there, and that's all that you can really get, you might want to give our burn pots a shot, and you will see the difference. Now, there's something that occurs when you burn pellets, and it's what's called clinkers. Clinkers is the byproduct that is left over when you burn the pellet, which is partially sand, and then you have the wood composites that actually forms into a hard substance in the bottom of the burn pots. Here's the thing. The brainiacs that created this burn pot, they tested many different designs of burn pots before they came up, and they decided this is how our stove is going to burn, and this is what we expect it to do. Okay, here's another important little fact, which is that when Austroflamm heard that there were individuals out there that were questioning whether or not there was a way to keep the stove burning longer, mainly with cheaper pellets that had a lot of clinkers and a lot of ash and so forth, that, ladies and gentlemen, is when the EPROM, the 3.5B, was introduced into the industry. Now, if you have not seen our EPROM video, what the EPROM is, it's a read-only memory chip that is installed on your motherboard, which helps control the features and the functions of how the stove operates. In the 3.5B, which was literally the last EPROM chip that was created for Austroflamm, they designed the stove to have what's called a self-cleaning mode. And the self-cleaning mode is about every hour or so, the stove would stop feeding pellets and it will go into a high combustion rate to where the combustion fan will speed up on high RPMs, like double the RPMs. I can't tell you exactly the rotation value, but what it does is it sucks an overabundance of air through the air intake into the bottom of the burn pots, and it blasts the fly ash and the clinkers out of the burn pot. Okay, so whenever these were plugging up with clinkers and so forth, after the 3.5B was introduced, which we have them for sale, and for you out there that don't understand how well your Austroflamm can burn, check and see. If it does not say a 3.5B, call us up, talk to us. We can send you a brand new EPROM and your stove will run the best it possibly can due to the oldest, newest, did I say that right? Or the newest, oldest design that was released by Austroflamm with the self-cleaning mode. Okay, and honestly, it made a big difference. And this burn pot really became a problem at that point due to the fact that all of this extra air port right here that was drilled into this design actually became a bad thing. And that's when the stove started burning dirtier and misfires started happening more often. Austroflamm is the best pellet stove that's ever been made. And for you out there that have owned an Austroflamm pellet stove since the early 90s and you're still burning it today, and I had a gentleman, literally, he purchased his stove back in 91, 92, and he told me that he had to replace a snap disc, and it was the first part that he had ever had to change out in his stove. Now, you know what, let's be realistic. That gentleman probably didn't burn like a lot of you out there, that as soon as that first snowflake drops or that first raindrop hits and it's, you know, hits the temperature scale into 40s or 50s, whatever mama thinks is cold out there, that this stove never gets shut off from fall until spring, okay? So this gentleman obviously didn't put it through the trials that, you know, a lot of you do. So if you want your stove to operate at its maximum performance, give one of our original Austroflamm factory designed burn pots a shot. Eliminate this remake and order a 3.5B EPROM if you check your motherboard out and you do not have one. I guarantee you will be happy that you did this. Now, there is a gentleman that he was a little bit concerned about his burn pot and so forth, and we told him exactly what I'm mentioning here. And this gentleman basically wrote a wonderful review explaining what I'm saying. And let me read that to you. I just want to let you know that I'm going to read you the emails right here, his testimonial, in order to help you understand that this isn't just a sales tactic, okay? So anyhow, what Kirk wrote is, "Good morning. I installed your burn pot over the weekend. I have been using such and such burn pots for about 10 years. I noticed a difference immediately. My stove now burns much more efficiently. I always use the highest quality pellets I can purchase locally, but the burn pot Most of the glass of the stove would darken up in just a few hours when running on the lower temp settings. My new burn pot burns so clean I no longer have to clean the glass daily. I would estimate that I only have 25% of the glass soot that I used to have. Thank you. And this is what I wrote him back. I said, thank you for the great testimonial. We have never cared for the remade burn pots, which happened years ago, and have always stuck with the factory mold, which was designed for the stove. The difference is that the remake allows too much oxygen into the pot, which creates the dirty burn, as you stated, and even creates misfires with cheap pellets. If you don't mind, would you give me the okay to use your testimony in a new video we will be making coming up? Let us know if we can help you in the future. Thank you for your support. And just to let you know, he wrote back immediately and he said, sure, I would be glad to support you. So that is just a recent customer that realizes that the factory knows what they're doing. And when they sent these to Omni Laboratories, this is how the stove was tested and designed in order to burn efficiently. These burn pots are significantly more money than our burn pots. We have made sure that in anything that we manufacture, and we're working on most every part right now of dealing with manufacturers on fans and motors and burn pots and snap discs, to where we're going to try to make sure that any part that you get for your Austroflamm, whether it's an original part or if it's a remake, because we can't get molds or the original motors and so forth, if they have to be remade, we're going to make sure that our prices are going to be significantly lower than the competitor out there. Oh boy, I almost forgot the main topic about our burn pots. Our burn pots are the only burn pot that comes with a 3-year warranty. That means you are going to get our burn pots at a reduced price, which means that burn away, mama, due to the fact that the hotter the better, because if anything happens to our burn pot within 3 years, you get one on us. So there you go, guys. We appreciate all your support out there. Thank you, Kirk, for the wonderful testimonial and for allowing us to help others see the light or see the heat. And you guys stay safe out there. Peace.